Hi there, welcome to Nepi Invest. A fantastic day for A2 Milk and the shareholders as the company released their half year results for financial year 24. These results beat expectations, but more importantly, the company also issued an upgrade. And whenever the market sees a company financial results beating expectations and they also issue an upgrade, the market will look more favorably upon that company. And don't be surprised to see the share price go on a run. And that's exactly why the share price of A2 Milk finished up 12.5% higher than the previous day. So in this video today, I'm going to briefly look, on the surface look, at A2 Milk's financial results, because typically I wait a few weeks before I delve a little bit more deeply into the company's results. And then we'll also have a look at what's transpiring in China. Absolutely fascinating what's happening in China in terms of birth rates and expected birth rates in 2024. Also have a look at the financial upgrade, and then we'll finish on having a look at the company's chart. But first, let's have a look at the financial results for the first half of financial year 24. Revenue up 3.7%, but EBITDA up 5% and net profit after tax up 15.6%. I really like to see when net profit after tax and even EBITDA, although EBITDA is not my favorite metric, rise at a greater rate than revenue. That means somewhere along the line, margins have increased. But gross margins actually fell slightly from 47.6% to 46.7%. So we have to delve a little bit deeper into net margins or operating margins. And when I had a look quickly had a look at the expenses, expenses didn't grow all that much. So this company grew their revenue by 3.7%, but their expenses didn't grow all that much. So that's where we did see a little bit of margin expansion for this company. And that's why profit increased at a significantly greater rate than their revenue. Earnings per share up to 11.8 cents, and net cash increased by about $85 million and closed at the half year at a nice $792.1 million. One thing I like to do, and you can find a lot of this information just in the company's presentation. So a lot of these slides come from the presentation. A lot of times I just look at the financial statements to get what I want to see, and that is a disaggregation of revenue, particularly if a company has operations globally. And A2 Milk does have operations globally, but not everywhere. So they are focused on Australia and New Zealand, really heavily focused on China, and they're trying to put their foot into the door in the United States, which is understandable. So that's their three main markets. So this is a disaggregation of the company's revenue and EBITDA based off their three geographical regions. And the company performed really well in China and other Asia in terms of revenue and EBITDA, performed poorly in Australia, New Zealand, and performed admirably in the United States. So revenue in China and other Asia increased 16.5%. Revenue in Australia and New Zealand fell 24.1%. EBITDA in Australia and New Zealand fell by 44%. So performing horribly in that geographic region, but thankfully China and other Asia performed well. And United States, revenue increased by 8.6% and EBITDA increased 31.8%, although EBITDA is still negative. And I think there is potential that USA could be a really good growth market for this company moving forward. Won't look at MVM, which is Matura Valley Milk. Our revenue fell for the year, and also that's part of the business is highly EBITDA negative 15.3 million in the first half of financial year 24. Another disaggregation of revenue I like to look at is if a company has different divisions, sectors, or products. And we can break down A2 Milk into three distinct products. So IMF, which is instant milk formula or baby milk, whatever you want to call it, liquid milk, and also other nutritionals. And they've also broken down their different products into different geographic regions because they are focused on different products in these different geographic regions. For instance, in China and other Asia, they're completely focused on IMF and not focused at all on liquid milk. But in USA, they are focused on liquid milk. Australia and New Zealand focused on both liquid milk and IMF. However, when you do look at a breakdown of their revenue in different products in Australia and New Zealand, you can see that IMF fell by almost 50% or just over 50%, 50.7%. And I think that's just because of China or what's happening in China. Thankfully, liquid milk up slightly from 92 million to 93.3 million, and other nutritionals up from 11.1 million to 14.1 million. And in China and other Asia, they are completely focused on IMF. So 446.3 million up to 509.5 million. So this company generates most of the revenue via IMF products into China. So again, this company is heavily focused, almost obsessed with China. And I have queried the company about their obsession with China in the past and whether that could be a good thing moving forward because of what's happening with birth rates in China over the past 5 years or so. In the United States, they're completely focused, well, maybe not completely anymore, but they were completely focused on liquid milk. And liquid milk revenue increased from 52.3 million to 56 million. But you can see they did sell some instant milk formula in the United States that totaled $800,000. But that is a start. And who knows, maybe that could be a really good growth engine for this company moving forward. Now to China, and this is really intriguing when we look at the birth rates in China over the past 5 years. And again, I've really wanted to understand why A2 Milk is so obsessed with China when we have this thematic of birth rates or births in China falling significantly. And they've actually provided us with some information within the company's presentation. So newborns in China has fallen from 15.2 million in 2018 down to 9 million in 2023. And each and every year, the country has seen birth rates dropping. And this is a phenomena throughout the world, particularly the Western world. And we're now seeing this happen to non-Western worlds as well. Birth rates are dropping significantly. In fact, it won't be too long before we see people on this planet starting to fall. And I think it could be quicker than what people realize. But in saying that, there is expectations that births in China will increase in 2024. And there's a few reasons behind that. And one of the reasons is because it is a year of the dragon. And historically, parents prefer to see their children born in China during the year of the dragon. Not only that, there was delayed births due to COVID-19, although if you do look at the birth rates since 2018, it's been falling fairly consistently. Recent marriage rates, pregnancy indicators, and government initiatives are all hinting that the birth rates in China will increase in 2024, and that should be good news for A2 Milk for this coming, or not this coming, because we're already in it, but for 2024. Now, so one of the reasons why I actually did take a trading position in A2 Milk on the morning of February 19, 2024, just around the revenue upgrade the company did issue. Now, I do prefer profit upgrades, but if the company can maintain their margins where they are or even increase their margins, that should be beneficial for the company's bottom line or their profit. So I'm just looking at their mayor release right now, and this is a statement about halfway down on the first page. Financial year 24 revenue growth guidance increased from low to mid single digit % on prior year. You might be laughing at because that seems like a small revenue upgrade, but that's a revenue upgrade nonetheless. And the market always looks favorably whenever a company issues a revenue or better yet, a profit upgrade. And that's one of the reasons why the share price of A2 Milk increased 12.5% on February 19, 2024. Now onto the charts for A2 Milk. But before we look at the most recent chart, the updated chart, let's go back 1 year ago. Last time I did a video because when the company released their half-year results in financial year 23, the market didn't like it. In fact, the share price prior to the release of these results was just around about $7, and then the share price fell. In fact, the share price moved into a long-term downtrend. And when I say long-term downtrend, I'm talking about a downtrend that lasted about 8 months. So sometimes when a company releases any sort of financial results, that could be the catalyst for a sudden shift in sentiment, just like we saw back in February 2023, and possibly what we might be seeing right now with the company. Now onto the updated chart for A2 Milk, and this goes back to the beginning of 2023, including that February period, 2023, when the company released their results, and sentiment in this company shifted from almost positive to negative, and the share price of A2 Milk moved into a downtrend. In fact, the share price fell from $7 to a low of $3.70 in November of last year. And then sentiment started to shift. And I think one of the reasons sentiment started to shift is because of those expectations that birth rates in China were going to increase in 2024 because it was the year of the dragon. And that's why the share price has started to move into an uptrend. And I think these results have justified those bulls on A2 Milk, particularly those bulls who moved into A2 Milk in late 2023. So things are looking good for A2 Milk right now. Probably the only concern I have is there was a little bit of selling, particularly in the afternoon on February 19. And we didn't have enough demand to meet that increase in supply of shares onto the market. So share price at one point in time reached above $5.90. So a little bit of selling came in during the day and there wasn't enough demand. Now, that's not necessarily a bad sign moving forward, but I do prefer the share price of a company to close at the high of the day. That is telling me there's more demand than supply. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the share price of this company over the next few days. But if we don't see continued selling and the share price starts to move up again, that will be a good sign for A2 Milk over the next few months. That is all I have for this look at A2 Milk's half-year results and their financial upgrade. Share price increasing 12.5%. If you have any thoughts, any concerns, any questions, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who's qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for the video. Have a good day. Bye.